Why is it that as you get older, you realize that some of the things you were taught were completely upside down or inside out, back to front? Now, that applies to business as much as it applies to our personal lives. Now, in a lot of these videos, I try to explain things within a context that applies equally to work and to life. And this is probably a good example, well, it is a good example as to how that manifests itself. So what do I mean by things are upside down? You know that as you've gotten older that some of the things that you were taught, you've done the right things all the time or some of the time, but you haven't had the right outcome. You've had the wrong outcome. Now, this happens in many ways, and in work especially. It happens to people who do all of the right things. They sit there diligently and do their job. They don't upset people. There's nothing for anyone to complain about. And yet they just surpassed completely when it comes to promotions or pay rises. Why does that happen? You've done all the right things. Why did you get the wrong outcome? It happens in our personal lives as well. You do all of the things to take care of yourself and create a life that might be attractive to the opposite sex, and you end up basically single. How does that happen? So just because you do the right things doesn't mean you get the right outcome. Often, and I mean often, you get the wrong outcome. Let me give you another example, which is actually kind of scary. I recently changed my diet, and I've gone to a very low carb, higher fat, lower protein, known as the keto diet, kind of a keto diet, but basically it's a way of not eating processed food, not eating sugars, and not having grains. That pretty much sums it up. Now, we all know that eating sugar is bad. No one goes around and says eating tons of sugar is good. Although they used to do that about 50 years ago, sugar was good, but that's another story. Sugar is now pretty well known as being bad. And yet, we still, despite the fact that we know that, we still sell soft drinks to children. So we're basically poisoning our kids. So that's just that continues and goes on, and let's not get into why. But I've also come to understand that what's bad in your diet is high sugar and high fat. If you take the sugar out, the fat does not make you fat because you get your carbohydrate from the fat. It's a really weird thing. It really does my head in to even understand it. But it's been hugely successful for me. But here's an example of how things that I thought were right were wrong. And if the wisdom of the world currently and all the medical practice, all the medical history was right, and we all followed the doctor's advice, then we wouldn't have an obesity problem. Why is it that it's so hard for people to stick to diets? Why is it that people that go on these diets don't lose the weight? Because what they're being told is wrong. And science is now catching up with the lie that we're being told to enlighten us as to how to eat properly. But it's a very simple question. What should I eat? And it's very hard to answer. But let's get into how things are upside down in this example. And this happens at work as well. Fat is now good. I thought it was bad, it was good. So all this low fat stuff that I used to do and trimming fat off food, bad, bad, bad. Keep the fat in. Sugar's bad, we knew that one. So that one, it was good 50 years ago. Now it's pretty generally accepted that it's bad. Eggs are good. No cholesterol problems with eggs if you don't have the sugar. So eggs are good. Lard. I've actually gone back to cooking with lard, or tallow, which is bizarre. I can't get my head around it. But a little bit of that is actually good. It's good fat. I don't want to go crazy on it, but it's good. Pizza. Pizza is bad, the crust is bad, but the topping is good. Now, I was the other way around. We'd put minimal topping and load up with heaps of crust. So pizza's actually upside down as well. I tend to scrape the top of the pizza, which is really rude when you go out for dinner, and leave the crust. Peanut butter is even good. I mean, how good is my life now? Peanut butter and bacon are both good. So what this has told me, it's taught me, is that things that I just had as absolute 100% facts were wrong. What I thought was good was bad. And then I think to myself, well, where else does this apply also in our work life? In our work life, most businesses or people in their jobs are chasing dollars or promotion or whatever. The business wants more work, it wants more profit. It's a pretty simple question. How do you get more profit? But it's not easy, because even when you follow all of the things that you should be doing, you still might get the wrong outcome and go broke. There's something fundamentally broken about the advice we give businesses, just like our diets. And I'm not going to get into this one now, that's a separate discussion. But just because you think something should be done in a certain way doesn't mean it's right. What we tend to forget with businesses is the organic laws of the universe. Businesses have been constructed in a way that we've tried to turn them into mechanical things that are almost non-organic, and we seem to think that they can defy the laws of nature. Now, one law of nature is if something goes up, it's going to come down. Now, we know with real estate, when we're sitting in a bubble, that we think it's just going to keep going up forever, and then all of a sudden it comes crashing down. We forget in business that these things happen. We forget the law of positive outcomes. We forget that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So something you do over here is going to affect something over there. Cut the budget in your staff training and your customer service is going to suffer. Do something over here with your diet, put in too much sugar, you're going to put on too much fat. These organic laws of the universe apply as much to a tomato plant growing in the veggie garden as they do to business or to our personal bodies. We can't forget these organic laws of the universe. Part of that is understanding what I love to talk about, which is meaning and why things actually occur as they occur, which we'll get into more. Connected to this topic of what we thought was good is bad and what we thought was bad is good, is this sort of, well, is anything out there an absolute good or an absolute bad? And we first think of love as being good. Love is good, so love is awesome, and there's nothing bad about love. But love can be destructive. You've heard of, you've always had that friend who went out with that other person, and you think, what did they see in them? And then you say, oh, but love is blind. And then they end up having this tragic relationship, and things all go pear-shaped. But at the time, love was fantastic and awesome for them. But love is blind. Love can also lead to almost addictive personalities with people. It can lead to jealousy. It can lead to stalking. It can lead to a whole lot of things which are not necessarily positive. We tend to view things like love or anything in the world, we can't view it as being inherently right or wrong, good or bad. There is always that grey in the middle. And by not acknowledging that grey, we fall asunder. Now that happens also in business. We think if we do all of these things, then everything's going to work out. Well, no, it's not. Because just because you do something and you think it is right, doesn't mean it is right, and it doesn't mean it's going to give you the right outcome. It might give you the wrong one. Another one is a promotion, just one more work one. You might get a promotion in a company you hate, in a job that you don't particularly want to do. Is that a good promotion? Is that right for you, or is it wrong for you? Really complicated question to answer. But again, if you go home to your parents or to your uncle and aunt or whatever, and you say, hey, I got a promotion, they'll go, yay, awesome, you got a promotion. That was something right that happened in your life. But you know that maybe that wasn't. So just because that word promotion appears doesn't mean that it's right. Just because you win a client doesn't mean it's the right thing for your business. They might drag you down and you have all sorts of horrible issues dealing with a difficult client. So we can't put right and wrong labels on anything any more than we can think to ourselves that if we do the right thing's going to happen, because the right thing can lead to the wrong thing. So be prepared for and have open your mind to this possibility that what you've known as being a fact could be absolutely 180 degrees the opposite of what was good for you. Again, I'm Stephen DiPietro, and look forward to more videos.